Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 283 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on November 18th, 2025. How are all you fine folks doing on this wonderful fall day? Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanksgiving's almost here. Super excited. It's awesome. I hope you guys are having a good fall. Weather's changing. I like it. Although it's not cold, which is not good for hunting. I don't like going hunting when it's hot. It's weird. On today's episode, we're going to be hitting the technical talk for last week's Cat Ben publication, along with its accompanying hazard map that was published in that report. Always cool. Also, speaking of hazard maps, there's a new hazard map brief published today as well with this episode. Yeah, the Unsuppressed MK18 in report 8.1.3. Yeah, that's right. As requested by a lot of folks, how dangerous, just how dangerous is an unsuppressed 5.56 MK18 anyway? Well, you already had the muzzle and ear suppression ratings, right, in every single MK18 report. Now you're going to get even more today. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Going to show you not only the unsuppressed suppression rating, so the hazards, but I'm going to show you some blast loads too, some pressure and impulse. It's going to be fun. All right, let's get on with the show. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast, man, you're in for such a treat. So glad to have you. Coffee's in the back. There are timestamps in the episode description. You can skip to wherever you would like, okay? If you want to hang around with me a little longer, I'm going to tell you about the fine folks that make this podcast possible. For example, Legion Athletics. That's right. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, or really anything is worth doing without consistency. You have to do things all the time if you want to be good at them. Sometimes you forget to turn your cell phone on silent when you're recording a podcast, and then you have to reach here and do it. Sorry. Does Legion Athletics have everything you need? No, they don't. But they have a lot of it. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, which is a staple for me, frankly. That reminds me I need to order some more. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Use code word PewScience, which is really important. You're going to save money. All right, buy one, get one 50% off your entire cart, which is crazy. And also, if you keep using that code, the next time you shop, infinite amount of times, actually, you get 20% cash back on everything you order, which is actually a lot because you'll be buying stuff there a lot, which I do. This episode is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. That's right, largest distributor of silencers in the world. Largest legal distributor of silencers, am I right? They've done a lot for consumers and the industry. Use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, cut down on errors, simplify your silencer purchasing process, get a money-back guarantee, don't pay a transfer fee. That's pretty good. Just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly silencer ownership simplified. Also, Top Gun Range Houston. That's right. If you're just passing through Houston because, you want to, you're on a business trip, and you're like, man, this meeting's boring. Let's go shoot guns. Go see Kyle at Top Gun Range. You can occupy their 15-lane indoor shooting range. You can rent firearms and silencers and shoot them in the range. Maybe have a beer outside of the range. Maybe don't come back, the same day. But, I'm not the boss of you. Kyle and his crew are pretty good. They're silencer people, and they're here to help you. TopGunRange.com. Podcast is also brought to you by Capital Armory. Did you know that silencers are in high demand and they're about to be in sky high demand? That's right. If you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, did you know that Capital Armory can ship a silencer directly to your door? Let's say you work nights. Let's say you're working shift work at like a refinery or something, in a control room. You're not going to have time to go to the gun store, dude. I mean, trust, So you can go to capitalarmory.com, order the silencer, have it shipped directly to your door. You don't have to leave your house. It's awesome. Really is that easy. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PewScience Laboratory. Somehow, this keeps going, which is awesome. It's all thanks to you, really. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we continue to do this podcast every week, most weeks. We continue to run a public research effort. We really want to push the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. visit our website at pewscience.com. We have the suppression rating, which is just one of the things we have. It's pretty cool. Simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms is based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone and blown out of the weapon system. That's right. It's the home of the silencer sound standard. There are now 8 sections. That's right, 8. Count them. The most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire world. It's all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. You can support this podcast yourself. You can support all the public testing we do. You can support all the new research we do, like the new PewSoft HD hazard mapper. You can support that yourself. You made that happen. You listening make that happen by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It's so cool. It's like less than a cup of coffee per month, and you get to support the most cutting-edge silencer research in the world. What's not to love? And you know what? If you don't want to spend any money, that's fine, dude. You don't have to. You can just, donate anyway. No. If you don't want to donate, if you don't want to join with a membership, you don't have to do any of that. You can just spread the word. It doesn't cost you anything. Just a moment of your time. If you could be so kind, let folks know that Pew Science is here to help protect you from small arm hazards. And we can, hopefully, with the general public, we can normalize the use of suppressed small arms. Hopefully, what we published today with this hazard study for the Unsuppressed MK18 will go a long way to do that. So 2 topics. First, we're going to hit the technical talk for the Cat Ben, and I'll split that up into like 4 subtopics. And then we'll hit the hazard map brief 8.1.3 for the Unsuppressed MK18. Fair? All right, cool. Let's hit the intro to topic 1 at a time of 6 minutes. And 42 seconds. All right, 1 second. Oh, dude. It's been crazy. I hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing good. It's just really busy around here, so I'm losing my mind. So Sound Signature Review 6205. Combat Application Technologies Cat Ben. We hit this last week, right? We released this. Micro silencer, right? It's real small, subcompact, Berta 21A, small host, small silencer. Everyone wants to do small silencer stuff until stuff gets loud. It's like Ronnie Coleman used to say, right? Everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, but no one wants to lift heavy weights. I skipped the bad word because this is a family show. Everyone wants to do small silencer stuff, but no one wants to stick around when the small silencers do small silencer things. And so, the question I asked you last week, the question I posed to you was, does the Ben offer relief? The answer is yeah. Rimfire is cool though. It's cheap to shoot, low recoil, great for your kids, great for fun around a campfire, great for target shooting and general marksmanship. It's just a great family of cartridges. 22 long rifle is a neat cartridge. A lot of great loads for that cartridge nowadays. They're really reliable. CCI standard velocity is our favorite. Pretty consistent stuff. Buy by the 5,000 pack. That's what I do. Great subsonic velocity out of all barrels. It's really great. It's not the best 22 ammo. It's like not the most accurate, but it's like way better than like the Remington crap, Winchester. So this little Ben, I got it here right here. This little Ben, I tell you what, man. I'm glad high performance rimfire silencers are getting light and small. That's cool. It's hard to complain too much, right? Because like most rimfire silencers aren't that big. But it's cool when things are smaller and lighter, I think. Definitely innovative ways of doing that nowadays with 3D printing. Remember that off-grid Scorpius we reviewed? It's like 5 inches long. It's really great. That's a good one too. 3D printed, really light. This one's shorter, but these are great. I think all these are cool. There's definitely innovative ways of doing it 3D printing. And it's across brands, which is really cool. It's really cool to see. So this is Cat's answer to the short 22 silencer game. That everyone wants to jump in. Not everyone because it's hard. They have the SR, which you've seen, ultralight, ultra high performance. I think rimfire silencers like the SR are nuts. That just still like I like shoot that thing. I'm like, what? So crazy. And the fact that like the low back pressure, your gun won't even work. You're like, what the hell? It's almost comical how quiet that one is. Now the Ben It's not as quiet as the SR, but it's not too far off on some guns. It depends, right? I think if you put these both on a bolt gun, it'd probably be hard to tell them apart. I think when you run silencers on little short barrel semi-auto pistols, it's easier to tell them apart. Because why? Because the host is just challenging to suppress the short barrel. I know rimfire is cheap. I know it's low pressure. I know there's not a lot of energy in the cartridge. But blast load input is a thing, and the barrel is short, and that is important. And let me tell you a quick story. It's a pertinent story. It's important. Tell you a quick story about a super famous silencer. Silencer Co. Sparrow. That was Silencer Co.'s first product they ever launched. And when they launched, they only had that one product. It launched their company. I was there. I remember. It was really innovative. Actually, it was super hard to clean rimfire silencers back in the day. You know, the tubes would get fused to the baffles. You know, that is, if you were lucky enough to have one you could even take apart, which most of them were sealed. Almost all of them. Right? They were all sealed. You weren't able to take apart rimfire silencers until consumers started complaining because couldn't clean them. You didn't have fancy stuff. And so what Silencer Co. did with the Sparrow was they had these little clamshells that sat around the monocore. They were separate from the tube. That way you could shoot a bunch of rounds through the thing, and then you could easily remove the tube, you know, the outer tube. You could remove the core and the sleeves from the outer tube, the clamshells, and no matter how much you shot within reason, that the tube would never seize to the monocore because you could just crack those shells off. It was a good idea. I don't know if that was McGee's idea or Mike's idea, but either way, it was McGee's monocore, right? From the forums, from Silencer Talk. But then Pappas, maybe the clamshells. They sold a metric ton. They sold a metric ton of those dang silencers. It's everywhere. I think that Sparrow's everywhere. And if you shoot that Sparrow on a rifle, I'm going somewhere with this, trust me. If you shoot that Sparrow on a rifle, like you keep it at your farm for like pest control or whatever on a little bolt gun or something, you're probably you never even gave it a second thought. You're like, that's pretty good. But if you put that Sparrow on a little short barrel 22 pistol, you're going to be acutely aware that there is some major first round pop. And the Sparrow's not small. I mean, he's a full size 22 can. Why is there such bad first round pop in the Sparrow? Well, the design, but why is there such bad first round pop in a Sparrow on a pistol, but not on a rifle? I think that's the important point I want to drive to you right now. It's because short barrels put a lot more heat and unburnt reactive gases into an oxygen-rich environment in the silencer, and you get extra combustion. That is literally what happens on short barrel. So, and it's not just short barrel 22, short barrel 300 blackout, short barrel 9mm, short barrel 5.56, short barrel. It's increasing the risk of this, and that's what happens inside. If your silencer can't deal with this extra combustion from a short barrel induced FRP event, because FRP is going to happen no matter what. If your silencer can't deal with FRP, you are stuck unless you lengthen your barrel real long, or you put some water in the silencer before the first shot, or you put some alcohol in there, or maybe you purge the air out. You don't have any oxygen to support the extra combustion and the reactivity. You can do all these things, but you don't want to have to do that because it's a pain in the butt. So ever since the Sparrow, and even before the Sparrow, frankly, folks have wanted little silencers to put on their little rimfire pistols that actually perform well, right? And there's a lot of options in 2025, which is cool, I think. So I'm going to talk about a little hazard map here on the bend option. Time of 14 minutes and 36 seconds. Okay. It's been a day. Hazard map. Yeah, this is cool, right? Pull up the article. 6205 on the website. Members, pull up the full version. The rest of you, pull up the free one. It's fine. You won't get left behind. I just want to say for the record, real quick, pull up the article. I want to tell you how cool this hazard map is. I guess you could pull up the hazard map brief. I should have told you that. You can pull up the hazard map brief in 8.1.2, and there's a link to the article. You're going to see, we're going to talk about the same crap. Doesn't matter. Just keep 205 open. That way you'll have the whole report in front of you. It'll make sense. This hazard map is so cool. And I usually say bottom line up front, and then we start talking about the suppression rating graphic, right, in these technical talks. Now, when we have a hazard map in a report, and again, I'm not sure we're going to have one in every report, but just so happens to have one, we have one here. Now I can just say, look at the map. How does the map make you feel? We can sit along in a circle, sing Kumbaya, and say, how does it make you feel? How does this map make you feel? Do you feel safe? Or do you feel like you're in danger? Because you're in there. Your little silhouette man's in there, or a woman. So when you look at this map, I hope you can look at it here. It's an immediate feeling of safety, right? Why? Why would you get that feeling? Well, green is safe. Red is danger, right? The suppression rating scale, right? There's a lot of green on that map. Why? Why is there a lot of green on that map? It's good suppression. Not a lot of combustion energy, though. Blast loads are dissipating a lot. That's what you want. Suppressed weapon system in action. That's literally what that map shows you. Now, you see more severe risk near the muzzle and the ejection port of the pistol, though, right? Well, sure. There are blast loads there. It's more dangerous. Don't go there. If you don't want, like, let's think about some risk mitigation strategies, like some practical ones for you. Like, what do you not want to do? Well, you don't want to hold a semi-auto pistol, like even with a silencer, like right next to someone's face when you're shooting it, right? Like not someone you like. Like you want to hold it away from you, right? Maybe you can use this graphic with your kids. See the little man holding the pistol away from them, away from their face? Yeah, maybe you can use this with your kids. If they're just learning about suppressed small arms, like it'll sound really quiet to them, but they need to know there's still danger, right? This might help. I know I'm going to show my kids this when they're old enough to understand what the heck it is, right? I don't know. I think it'd be useful. One thing to keep in mind before we leave this subtopic, this quick hazard map, these are average suppression rating contours, right? So that's 5 shots average to get the suppression rating. Now, there's a lot of data on that little plot, and we're about to get into the technical discussion here, and so I want to tell you something I can do with this plot before we move on, though. It's really powerful. I can say, look at that hazard map. Bottom line up front, 78.5 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the silencer end cap, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field. 71.7, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear on the Beretta 21A, 2.4-inch barrel Bobcat semi-auto pistol with CCI standard velocity 40 grain ammunition. That brings us to composite rating of what? 79.6. Which I had to scroll up to find because it was on that other graphic, but cool, right? So the composite rating isn't on the map because you don't need it on the map. But it's still in the rating graphic right there, adjacent to it in the report there, and it's in the rankings. So I just think this is so cool, this hazard map. And again, if you didn't even want to look at the report and you just want to look at the hazard map for this thing, you could go to the hazard map section on the website, report 8.1.2, and it just has a map, and it's 3 paragraphs, and that's all you need to read. But for the rest of you, we're going to go deeper into the technical performance in this full report. Okay, we're going to start that at a time of 19 minutes. 10 seconds. All right. One more second. Okay. Technical performance. Just keep that report up or pull it up if you're coming to us from the hazard map 8.1.2 and come here to 6205 with us. All right. If you would be so kind. So you already know the risk metrics, like the suppression rating. We just told you use the hazard map to do that. It's probably one of the easiest things you'll ever read in your life. You can look at colors. You don't even have to be able to read. As long as you know that green is safe and red is bad, the map will serve its purpose. So now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and look at math. Go past the table of peak blast load values in table 1, because I know those make a lot of people upset. Just wait. And we're going to go to the blast overpressure traces in figure 1. Okay, so table 1 is scary. Figure 1 should be comforting. Now, per typical, this is showing you the entire history of the gunshot, which is important, in the free field, which is also important, as measured 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer. The exact same data that was used to compute the suppression rating value that we just talked about in the hazard map, 1 meter left of the end cap in that map, at a single point in space. Remember that map, guys, on that particular map, because you can see the grid resolution was 3 inches. Every 3 inches, there's a waveform for every shot in both dimensions on that map. And those waveforms at 1 meter left of that end cap look like the ones in figure 1A. See, I know a lot of you understand that, but I know some of you don't yet. I need you to understand those hazard maps are the average of 5 shots, and every shot has a waveform every inch in space in both directions on the map. There's 850 million data points in that hazard map. Microsecond resolution data. I know. I'm just like that. You see how we can go as simple as you want. We can go as complicated as you want to. That's the whole point of this. Something for everybody. So you look at this plot, figure 1A, the stuff with the orange in it, right? Do you notice anything interesting about it, like at first glance? You know, you've been looking at semi-auto pistol stuff, I'm sure, in rimfire. You notice anything interesting, like compared to, I don't know, like what you saw from the SR? Because I know you compared them. The Ben's louder, dude. And when? It's like spatial and temporal components. We always talk about time, don't we? When is it louder? When is the Ben louder than the SR? It's louder in general, but when is it louder, like really, that you can tell easily without even knowing how to read? First shot, right? Yeah, you don't have to know how to read, because if you look at figure 1A and 1B, you'll see exactly what's happening. It has that peak FRP jet that's pretty visible. Yeah, it's black. See, that's easy to tell the difference. It's not terrible, but it's definitely there. And it's not just one little spike. I don't want you to think it's just one little fleeting moment in time, because it's not. No. There's some momentum that keeps coming. There is, and you can see that expressed in the blast impulse traces in figure 2. If you scroll a little bit further down there, you can see figure 2. If you look at figure 2A, there's, you can see the whole thing. And now I zoomed in a little bit in figure 2B, but and annotated it for you. Early divergence. Then you get that peak jet happens, and that peak jet that happens at like 31.4 milliseconds approximately. After that, you're still dealing with some momentum, and there's still jetting from the FRP event happening. It hasn't stopped. It's not stopping until really you're going to take a ride for a significant portion of the positive phase impulse here. And that's an important conclusion, an important result of the test that you need to understand. It's like we talked about it in the text of the report. And I know I just said a lot of stuff that sounds very technical to you. I might have lost some of you. That's okay. I'm going to break it down in a simple way. So what I'm saying is that the FRP is not an isolated blip. It's present, and you will be able to hear it with this ammunition on this gun, with the silencer. And there's no question. There's no question. Now, is it severe, though? I would say no. I would say it's not, and the way it presents is not severe. But when it comes to CAT, this surge bypass technology specifically too, you're not used to seeing this, are you? You're not. You're just simply not used to seeing it. And it's important to know that all technologies have some limitations. And you can say it with me if you like. Physics doesn't care about your brand. Okay, I don't care who makes it. I don't care if the silencer we're looking at is made by a client. I don't care if it's made by someone who loves us. I don't care if it's made by someone who hates us. I don't care if the marketing is something you guys like, if it's something you guys don't like. All of these things have nothing to do with how the silencer behaves physically, when a combustion input is put through it. And what comes out of it. These are inanimate objects with no feelings. Okay? So now, I will say, I wanted to give you like the bad stuff for, it's not bad, but I want to tell you that. Now you talked about that. Well, and what's the thing I said in the report? Hold on. I'll give you a number. I quantified it. Yeah. Research note 1, the FRP signature from the CAT band is approximately 50% more severe than subsequent shots to bystanders in the free field in this weapon system on average. Yeah, on average, dude, the first shot is about 50% more severe than the quietest shots with the silencer on his gun. Like 1 meter left. I mean, that's as quantitative as I can give you. It's literally the most quantitative someone will ever tell you about anything, the way a silencer performs. And that's true, but there's a reason. I'm going to tell you, after FRP, it's a banger. The consistency is wild. Actually, 24% shorter than the SR. It's a little fatter. Interesting, unique look. It's an interesting silencer. It uses surge bypass, just like an SR, but it's shorter and fatter. So what causes the behavioral difference? Now, and what does it mean for like in practical terms? When you use a technology like surge bypass, one that allows high early time flow rate with exceptional distal flow control, in theory, in a gross sense, that technology in theory across models, and you adapt that technology in an envelope and you make the silencer fatter but also shorter, what can you expect from that? What can you expect with more girth and less length? They're both important. I think that answer depends on the input blast pressure regime. I think that with like 5.56 or 7.62, like rifle cartridges, I think, or intermediate rifle cartridges, I think you're going to get a certain answer. I think with 22 rimfire, I think it's tricky. I think, especially like standard velocity, like I'll tell you what's tricky. So you only have so much input duration, right? If you increase that diameter, and when I say input duration, you only have so much blast load input duration. You only have so much combustion duration from a CCI standard velocity cartridge. Okay, you only have so much. When you increase the diameter, you better be dang sure you can get pressure where it needs to go. To put it simply, the larger the volume, the more the expansion, the lower the pressure, which is good. That of course, like that's just physics. But if you want to do advanced work on the system, maximize turbulence, and like really go to work here, you need to be able to act on the flow. And by increasing the diameter, you can generally be okay. But if you also go and shorten the length, now you've really cut yourself off at the knees, which I think is an apt thing to talk about when you shorten silencer lengths. And any underexpanded jetting is really going to be exposed, and you got way less time to correct any mistakes. If you need to correct any inefficiencies in the system, in the chain, you got way less time because you got an axial bore that you've shortened the path. That you are really handicapping yourself when you shorten a silencer. And that's why short silencers are so hard to get right. If you didn't get those initial conditions just perfect, you're going to be playing at a disadvantage. Now, you ask yourself, well, did Cat get it perfect? Well, I don't think so because, I don't know for sure. But I'm willing to bet that the optimization is not perfect. I mean, no one's perfect. Now, look, I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to bet that you probably do something a little better on the entry point here, I think. I mean, I'm not saying I would, or I'm not saying I know exactly what would do better or anything like that. I'm not trying to money morning quarterback, but I'm saying they ended up paying for length truncation here. What do they pay with? Bitcoin? No, they pay with FRP. Propagation. No one pays with Bitcoin. It's not real. Oh, am I going to make someone angry? That's okay. I think they paid less than they would have paid without the diameter change. But as a corollary to that, I bet you if the diameter got even bigger, you could have gone the other way. So I don't know. It's a complicated problem. Making a silencer really short, it's interesting to see how different companies deal with it. 3D printing is changing everything. It used to be way harder, I think. I think now it's like, I think it's getting harder for companies to calm down. Some things that are wild. I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to hold. It's advancing at a rapid pace. I think a lot of people are copying a lot of people too, but that'll all flesh out later. I think this is a game of inches and fractions of an inch. I cannot emphasize enough how important length is for a silencer. Now, again, I do think Cat pulled off something pretty good here. I mean, look at Research Note 1 again. I mean, I even say it. After FRP, man, really notable consistency. You compare this stuff to stuff that's shorter or stuff that's even like a little longer, and the bend's killing the short stuff, and it's hanging with the long stuff. So I think as a litmus test, that right there should tell you it's not a run-of-the-mill silencer. Okay, it's really not. I'll tell you a personal anecdote that's relevant to this and relevant to the industry. I am a proud owner. I am the proud owner of a rugged Oculus. Okay. Rugged doesn't get enough love. Look, they have their issues with performance, but high quality, great people. I'm the proud owner of a rugged Oculus. I love it. Such a cool little silencer. I think it's so pretty. I think Henry has one of the best eyes for design in the industry. I think it would be hard for me personally to use the short configuration of my silencer if I had the bend sitting right next to it. The short configuration of the Oculus is like 3¼ inches long, okay? This thing's 4.2 inches long. It's about an inch longer than the short configuration of the Oculus. Boy, does that help. I mean, and you know what the kicker is, though? The long configuration of the Oculus is 5¼ inches long, so that's an inch longer than the bend. So the bend fits in the middle of the short and long Oculus, and the bend outperforms both configurations of the Oculus on a short barrel pistol. You see what I'm going with? Isn't that crazy? It's wild to me. On a short barrel pistol. I'm not talking about bolt gun. Anyone can suppress a 22 bolt gun. That's easy mode. I'm talking about like hard stuff here. So don't get me wrong though, like I'm a huge Oculus fan. I don't know if I can say that enough, and I think I've put my money where my mouth is on that. I think I've proven like it's literally the silencer on our website homepage for the almost 6 years, and I've told you again and again, it helped form the silencer sound standard. It's the most tested silencer in PewScience history. We kicked it off with the first reports. It's my personal silencer. Like, come on. How much can I be an Oculus apologist? Right? I love it, but technology advances. I also love, old muscle cars, but I also like driving my Corvette and my Power Stroke diesel, right? There's levels. Okay. I'm just saying, like, things advance, things get better, and you can still appreciate the classics. I'm not saying the Oculus is a classic. It's not that old. It's no SWR Spectre. Shout out to Joe. But you know what I'm saying? It's still cool. But things do advance, and we're sitting here looking at, we're on the precipice of, past the precipice of technological advancement in rimfire, clearly. So that's what I'm saying about that. I'm giving you a peg point because, you take an Oculus, you take it apart, and then you can buy something right now that's in between those two sizes, one piece, 3D printed, it's lighter, and it outperforms both of them on a pistol, and you're like, with a lower back pressure, and you're like, huh. Neat. Anyway, so go back to the report, and members, if you want to, you can look at section 6.205.1.2, which is all the signatures measured at the operator's head. You're going to see some really cool data here. I think if you're if you're if you're a Ben owner, you're going to see like, oh, I guess the FRP is not as bad at the ear. Yeah, you're right. It's not. Still going to hear it, but I think it's important to understand like a lot how much noise the gun makes itself. I think it's really worth looking. If you're a Pew Science member, I think it's really worth looking at figures 3A, 3B, and 4A and 4B, and the discussion. I think it's important. I think you really need to understand the gravity of the suppression capability of the silencer, considering how small it is. It's really nuts. I think that should bring you comfort if you're a prospective Ben user or interested in it or have one. I think you'd be very pleased if you shoot the Ben. I don't know. I think we've gotten feedback on our report. There's people that have it and said that it agrees with their experience, which is good. I don't think I've heard any negative impressions. I mean, it's pretty commonly known to be high performer. When you scroll down to the bar chart in the last section, the second to last section of the report, 605.2, figure 5, I think the bar chart really succinctly shows the gravity of what I'm telling you here about performance comparison at a high level. So, again, yes, 22 rimfire is easier to deal with than 5.56 or even 9mm. Yes, we know this, right? And that's why we tested on short barrel 22 instead of a bolt, short barrel 22 pistol now instead of a bolt gun, because we want to show something that matters. So you look at the bars in the chart, and you're like, well, are they going to be long? And you're like, yeah, we would hope there would be long bars in here. We hope there'd be high ratings. But again, these numbers are not as high in this chart as they are on a bolt gun. And you look at that short Oculus, right? And I know I keep going back to it, but it's a personal silencer that I love, and I have a soft spot in my heart for it. But also, I love that we have it in the pedigree, because what a good example of how a suppressed weapon system can be louder than what you would think it would be. When the layman thinks suppressed pistol, they would not think about the short Oculus like on a Beretta 21A. Like, they would not think about that performance. Like, if you talk to someone, oh man, I love shooting suppressed 22. Oh really? Is a silencer cool? Yeah, dude, it's so quiet. Oh, really cool. They're not thinking of something that is as loud as the short Oculus on a little pistol, because you don't want to put a short Oculus on a little pistol. You want to put a short Oculus on a long rifle. That's where it shines, because it's short and it performs well on that because of low pressure. You just do not want to put it. You don't. I mean, you can, but when you have all these other options, there would be almost no reason to do it. They would not be thinking about, short Oculus on a Beretta 21A. That is the marketing photo that you saw most often for 22 rimfire like 5 years ago. I promise. And freaking YouTube everywhere, you would see name a silencer YouTube 5 years ago. They had a short rugged Oculus on a freaking Beretta 21A. I guarantee you. There was a 21A with an Oculus on every freaking silencer influencer social media account that existed, and it was in the short configuration. And you gotta know that is not what they were shooting, like when the camera was off. There's no way, dude. There's no way, bro. There is no way you're gonna wake up one morning with a rugged Oculus and be like, yeah, dude, let me just take off this end of the silencer, make it shorter and way louder, and then put it on my short 22 pistol and do a yard pop with my coffee. Said no one ever. Like, no one would do that, because who does that? You wouldn't do it. You'd get like an AAC Element 2 or something. Or you'd leave the Oculus in its long configuration. Of course. Of course you would on a pistol. Like, you wouldn't, unless you had to have it shorter. And if you do shoot it like that, we literally have the muzzle suppression ratings from like a 5.56 AR-15, like a Mark 18 that's higher, don't we? Like, the short Oculus on a 21A has a muzzle suppression rating of 37.9. Bro, I'm pretty sure we have 40 zone 5.56 silencers or close to it on like the Mark 18, right? I can't remember off the top of my head, right? I know there's a Mach wave from the bullet. The suppression rating is the whole thing. Isn't that crazy? You see what I'm saying? How like people are like, oh, why would I suppress 556? Dude, this 22 things louder. So, okay, so you look at it in context. Most of the silencers in the chart are super quiet. So it's stacked competition. And it's a hard host to deal with. And so you look at the Ben in context, well, it's right there with them, and it's short, right? You're not fighting for the upper echelons of overall performance. Like it's getting edged out, somewhat by the Otter Creek Labs Titanium, by the Off-Grid Scorpius, excellent can. Those are bigger. But, it's edging them out. But the Ben is edging out the long Oculus barely. It's basically tied with a long Oculus. So you're like, wow. I think that's good context, I would say. I think we need to do more. We need to put some classics in here so we can get more context. Like that Sparrow, we need to put that in there. And we will. There's just a lot of stuff to do, trust me. Like, we got a new software program to show you and show off, right? I appreciate your patience. Final thoughts. 41 minutes. Sorry. 40. Jeez Louise. 41 minutes. I'm going to have to pause this. I can't. Just 1 second, dude. All right, I'm back. Sorry, my voice is going. Okay, so we were going to move into final thoughts at a time of 41 minutes and 18 seconds. Oh, my goodness. I do these podcasts at the end of the day, the middle of the week, and it's just... you never know. Yeah, final thoughts. There's not much more to say here about the Ben. I think we can talk. Let me give you some subjective thoughts. I think the finish is really nice. Whenever we test cat silencers, so they're a client, right, lab client, and when they send us stuff, we usually get like R&D samples. They don't have really nice finish at all. This time we got this one, and I think it has the factory or something. I don't know how they make their silencers or where they finish them or whatever, but this is nice. It's like when you touch it, it's like soft. What is that word? Like whenever, here's the thing. It's not the same as, so one thing I like about old aluminum anodized silencers is like the soft anodizing. Like I always thought like SWR had like really great anodizing. The Ben, it's obviously 3D printed, and it just is really like, the finish is really nice. I don't know what the finish is. I don't know what it's called. I don't know anything about it other than what it looks and feels. And I'm telling you, it's kind of cool. I told you, this is a subjective opinion. When you look at the whole thing, like holistically, when you hold it in your hand, it almost looks like a mini version of some of their bigger stuff. Which I find cool to look at. Like, man, you know me by now, dude. I like minimalism when it comes to looks of silencers. This has that proximal grip. The lines, I like that. The distal end looks cool. It has a subtle bevel on the front edge. Fits in the palm of your hand. It's not too heavy. I'd rock it, dude. Like, the fact it works well on a pistol, for me, that's like one of my number one rimfire requirements. It's got to work good on a pistol. If you have a rifle, you'll like that too. Like, that's why I like the Oculus so much. It was always good on a pistol and a rifle in its long configuration. The Oculus was such a good silencer, and that's what this thing is doing well. And it's small. Oh, before I forget, because I did talk about early time flow rate being high because of surge bypass, but you need to know, like, the back pressure on the silencer is not high. That's good too. So it's titanium. And we talked about more of the details in the intro talk last episode, but so it's titanium. You can, beat it up, and you can basically, clean it with anything you would clean aluminum with, and stuff that you would not want to clean aluminum with, which is good. Like, you can clean it with cleaners that damage aluminum, which is it's good. What I would do if I was like a sealed 22 silencer owner, I would weigh it brand new, and then keep track of the weight as you shoot. Like, if you're putting like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds through it, just, clean it with stuff that cleans it, and keep it good. You know, there's umpteen million cleaners out there now that for you to try. In this little thing, you dunk this thing into like a little water bottle full of poison, whatever you do. You can, always, what you could do. This is what I used to do, and I would do. Just be careful with it. I would just mix vinegar or hydrogen peroxide and make that dip compound. You put the silencer in there, it's going to dissolve all the lead inside, but it's going to precipitate it in there, and then it's going to, if you get that liquid on your skin afterward, it's going to put that lead in your bloodstream. Don't do that. It'll create like lead acetate or something. It's not good. So maybe don't do that. Maybe use some other cleaner. But what I'm saying is you could make it with household chemicals and be okay. Yeah. It's the best time in history to be a silencer consumer. All those cleaners they have, I just think I get a kick out of that. So I hope that helps all you prospective Cat Ben owners. Not a lot else to say. It's just this pretty simple silencer, pretty quiet. I hope this helps you understand how it performs. I hope it helps with comparisons for you to understand how well it performs on this type of host for the size. Because suppressing a short barrel semi-auto pistol is not easy with a short silencer. Okay, so thanks again to Combat Application Technologies for trusting us to perform this work. It was a pleasure, as always. All right, let's move into topic 2. Talk about something much more dangerous at a time of 46 minutes and 9 seconds. So this is really dangerous. Yeah, so topic 2, Silencer Hazard Map Brief 8.1.3. So we're going to publish this in the morning, or today for you, morning for me. So, unsuppressed Mark 18 in the free field. A lot of folks have been talking about this blast pressure hazard, right? And we've been telling you that for 6 years, and I tell people about this my whole career. It's what I do. You talk about blast overpressure, human risk, traumatic brain injury. And so I was thinking, I would like more people to be more familiar with some terms, vernacular nomenclature. So why not write a little hazard brief with some pictures to show you just how dangerous a Mark 18 is and why. It was requested by a lot of people when we debuted the PSoft HD hazard maps. They want to say, oh, well, you showed a suppressed Mark 18 Surefire and Huxworks in that first article, but what about in that first, hazard map thing? What about unsuppressed? Well, it's like, well, you guys already had the unsuppressed suppression ratings from the Mark 18 in every Mark 18 report, guys. Every bar chart in every Mark 18 report, including the first one ever, which was the Surefire 556 RC2, it had the unsuppressed Mark 18 risk metrics in there. But now you have the whole map. Yeah, it's cool. And you also, what I did, in addition to the suppression rating hazard map here, which is just a red box because it's so loud, it's actually it's red, then a slightly lighter shade of red. It's like Archer, that show Archer. He has all those turtlenecks. He's like, this one's black. This one is a slightly darker shade of black or lighter shade of black. In addition to the suppression rating graphic, you have the blast pressure and impulse field maps too, in case you want to know about them. And I think that's really important because we're going to talk about some very high pressures. So hazard map brief 8.1.3. It's not a silencer hazard map brief because there's no silencer, but it is a hazard map brief because there's a map and it's of hazards. We use a new version of PSoft HD. We're on 2.2.4 if you're keeping track. It's just some changes to make things a little better. If you check out figure 1, it's the suppression rating map, actually. So you see the color. You can click on it to make it bigger if you want, but you can see the color. It's basically red, right? Yeah, that means that means danger, right? Red is danger. That's bad. You don't want to be there. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Have you play the game? Never have I ever. Never have I ever stood next to someone shooting an unsuppressed Mark 18 without hearing protection. Most people would say, no, that's crazy. Some people would be like, oh, dude, I totally did that. Ring my bell. Well, suppression rating is 1.7 at the ear and 3.2, 1 meter left of the muzzle. Guys, ear ratings under 2, muzzle ratings under 4. Use a silencer. Come on. This is like Scared Straight, that show where they put the kids in prison. Look, one thing you'll notice, the zero contour on that chart is really big, right? You're almost like, what is that, dude? Why is it zero? What is he showing us? What is it even? Is that useful? The reason why it looks like that computation looks like that, is because the suppression rating has no meaning. The suppression rating isn't meant for hazards like this. It's meant for blast overpressure hazards in the regime created by suppressed small arms. Suppressed small arms. This is short barrel Mark 18. It's almost outside where the rating's even used. You don't. We didn't when we made the suppression rating. We're like, we're not gonna. You don't need to know for the suppression ratings for your ears. That's bad, and we're gonna talk about that more in a second. I'm gonna tell you why. This is really bad. Not safe. Okay, there's not a reason. You don't. We plotted it. We want to show you how dangerous this is. You don't even get to a suppression rating of 10 until you're like way far away from the shooter, as you can see. So, like, relax. It's not safe. Just know. Because it's so hazardous, and because unsuppressed gunshots have been on people's minds lately, they've been in the news media, right? The New York Times had an article on indoor shooting range blast hazards. Yeah. They start talking in terms of PSI and PSI milliseconds. Now you're speaking my language. Let's move out of acoustics. Let's start talking about blast. It's my field of expertise. It's what I do. So I thought it would be cool to dip our toes into that in figure 3 and figure 4. And I'm actually going to publish this podcast using these two graphics next to each other. So even if you don't have the report published yet and you're listening to this early, you'll be able to see this as the thumbnail to the podcast, and also on YouTube. If you're listening there, it'll show up as the video, as a still image. This should really help you folks understand how severe the blast loads are. We have pressure and impulse here. Figure 3 is pressure. Figure 4 is impulse. There's a different color scaling used in these maps simply because, look, these are just blast loads. So I'm using literally the contours that I usually use in blast analysis. Like, these are the contours I use. Like, literally, like before I start Pew Science, like this is the colors like I would choose, just cause. Not for Sciencerland, but for things. So figure 3 and figure 4 are not suppression rating. All right, like that's not suppression rating, dude. That's blast pressure and blast impulse, and they're average peak. Okay, so. Unlike silencer blast loads, unsuppressed small arm blast loads are a lot like explosive loads, actually, in their phenomenology, in their shape. Yeah, they're just really short duration. Okay, that's what they're not like. They're not like a bomb, because a bomb is short duration, but like small arm cartridge is it's even shorter duration. It might be high pressure, but really short duration. So really small impulse, because the impulse is the area under the curve, right? Yeah. So because they are similar to explosive loads, high explosive loads, the peaks are actually pretty useful. It's not like the peaks in Silencerland. Peaks in Silencerland aren't as useful, but the peaks in unsuppressed blast land are pretty useful. Wave shape matters, it turns out. We do research on that a lot. That's a very important field of study. So when you look at figure 3, you see how it's red in the middle there. We're using the scale of red to light violet. See how in figure 3 it's showing loads over 10 psi? Yeah, so right near the muzzle, right? It's very high. So Are those loads long duration, though? Well, no, because if they were, it would kill you. Okay, you're much more likely to die from the bullet hitting you in front of the gun here than the blast load coming out of the rifle. Now, look at the impulse plot in Figure 4. These blast impulses are pretty low, just so you understand. To give you a feel for how much blast impulse you would see on the side of a building if there was a small bomb that went off in a parking lot, the impulse, like you would see, could be on the order of, depends on the bomb, depends on the building, depends on the distance. On the order of, like a small one, be on the order of like 30 to 50 psi milliseconds, like on the order of that. Like that's a small bomb next to a building, like small, not even next to the building, like small bomb, like in the middle of the parking lot, small bomb. 30 to 50 psi milliseconds in impulse from a TNT load, from a shock load. Fully reflected on the surface. That, like, man, you break windows, you might take down some weak walls. Okay, you're not gonna knock your building down. At the guy's head in Figure 4, you're like at less than a tenth of a psi millisecond. So you see what I'm saying? Like you're like don't freak out, because like it's really loud for your ears. Look at pressure. You're still, but your ears are very pressure sensitive, and don't get me wrong, it's still loud. This isn't going to kill you. Okay, so stick with me. There's a method here. So what I've done is I've placed a decibel scale next to the PSI scale and a decibel millisecond scale next to the PSI millisecond scale. So both plots have pressure units in PSI and impulse units PSI milliseconds and decibels there too. So you have linear pressure and you have logarithmic pressure. So what's linear pressure? PSI, pascals, PSF, inches of water. Linear pressure. What's logarithmic pressure? Decibel. Yeah. Why did I do that? Well, I wanted acoustic folks to understand the magnitude of the blast loads. Because acoustic folks think about logarithms. Blast folks understand the nonlinearity and just look at it on the response side, not on the load side. Okay, I know that's a weird thing to say, but you'll get it. If you're a physics guy, you get it. So, Silencer Sound Standard Section 2, it will help you understand the difference between linear and logarithmic pressure units. That's we did this. It's 6 years old. It's on the website. Go look at Section 2. You'll learn about that. So see how, like, on the charts, once you get over like 185 dB, you better call Saul. Like, you better call for help. Like, you better call your mom. Like, dude, over 185 dB, you're like over 5 psi. It's like, whoa, dude, in the free field. Whoa, that's not good for you. It's not. If you scroll, and I'm gonna tell you why. Keep scrolling down. Now, this is a hazard map brief, so there's not a lot in here. But under those colorful pictures in section 8.1.3.2, I'm gonna give you some real deal thresholds. Okay, I'm gonna give you some peg points for human injury. Real peg points for human injury. For normal blast loads that are higher in impulse, not the ones you see from the Mark 18, but normal blast loads that are higher in impulse, the threshold for human eardrum rupture, meaning below it, eardrums shouldn't rupture, but above it, they start to rupture. 5 psi in the free field. Okay. Above 10 psi in the free field, your lungs may collapse, and you will die. The threshold, it's a threshold for human fatality from blast in the free field, meaning you're standing in the middle of a field and a blast wave sweeps over you, and if it's over 10 psi, you have a chance that your lungs will collapse and you'll die. Just standing there. Okay. One thing I want to emphasize to you about blast loads in the free field is that the human body is very resilient, and you will generally not die from them, and it's pretty safe actually. The Mark 18 will not collapse your lungs. I know, like that if you look at Figure 3, you're gonna see like, oh my God, over 10 psi when it's red. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I don't want to stand near that because my lungs are gonna collapse. It's like, okay, no, that's not gonna happen. Why? Well, look at the impulse plot. The impulse is really low, and I'm not showing you PI curves because I'm not gonna put those in the report. We don't need to do that. Okay, I gave you the reference. You can go pull them, and you can look at the scaled pressure impulse values and compute it yourself. But what I'm telling you here is that Mark 18 is not going to collapse your lungs. Impulse is not high enough. However, you could still definitely get hearing damage, and you could definitely get TBI from prolonged unsuppressed shooting all day, every day, okay? Especially indoors. I think the New York Times kind of highlighted that to you, okay? Okay. So be careful out there. Or you look at these pressures, you see like they're really high, and I want you guys to really understand what you're subjecting yourself to when you don't use a silencer with a rifle. And everyone wants to talk about these laymen and these FUDs that like, the 5.56 is supersonic, so why would I use a silencer? It's like, forget about the Mach wave. The Mach wave doesn't matter. Look at the blast pressure in Figure 3. That's what you're protecting yourself against with a silencer, not the freaking Mach wave, dude. No one cares about the Mach wave. The bullet's too small. You're not flying a jet in your face. A bullet's tiny. The Mach wave's not going to kill you. All right? The Mach wave's not going to... It might startle you. You might fall down. But you look at it I mean, but the blast load's going to be concussive, and if you shot an unsuppressed Mark 18 in the free field, not even near a wall, but in the free field, it is rattling your teeth. Why is that? It's because it's hitting you with almost a PSI overpressure in the free field, dude. Okay. So share this. It's gonna be on YouTube. Share the YouTube video. They can look at just the picture. Share the article 8.1.3. Share it. Show people. All the people that showed you the New York Times article. Show them this. This isn't even indoors. This is outdoors. All right. Show them the suppression rating. Show them that this is risk, the human risk. Show them that people need to use silencers. The tax amp's about to go away in January. There's no excuse anymore. Buy a silencer. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Protect your friends and loved ones' hearing and brains. All right? Stay safe, guys. Spread the word. Spread the word about silencers and how PewScience can help you pick one that'll protect you. All right? I will talk with you folks again soon. Enjoy. All right, bye.